Hey, Dad, welcome to the Father on Purpose podcast. And today, as we occasionally do, we have a special guest, David Goose Mills from Men's Alliance Tribe. We're going to tell you more about him in a moment. But before we dive in, please remember two things. One, today's show is brought to you by Range Leather. Head over to rangeleather.com and use the code MJ15. That's MJ15 to get 15% off your next Aetna belt bag, your Kennedy crossbody, a wallet, a hat, a journal, a keychain, a set of earrings for your wife. They have amazing stuff. Go to rangeleather.com. Secondly, Fatherhood Guard is what makes this show go. It's our collection of almost 100 monthly donors that support the work at Manhood Journey and Father on Purpose. When you join the Fatherhood Guard, you get a slick hat with a cool Fatherhood Guard logo on it from guess who? Range Leather. No surprise there. Go to manhoodjourney.org/guard, Guard, to join the Fatherhood Guard and help us reach millions more dads. Can't wait to introduce you today to David Goose Mills. David, thanks for joining us on the show, bro.
Man, Kent and Lawson, thank you guys for having me. I love what you guys are doing, and that is a sweet hat.
Well,
that is an awesome logo on there. Yeah,
isn't that a great logo?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Thanks for having me here.
Well, thank you for your service to our country. I know you're former military, or as they say, once military, always military. We're going to ask you a bunch of questions today and let you guide our dads. Before we do, Lawson and I were talking before we went on air as to how I met you. And that was about a year ago. Your team sent me a package with your new book in it, a preview copy of your book before it was totally done. And we're going to talk about that book today as well. But I was remarking that often, and I hate to say this out loud, but often in the Christian world, we find a lot of marketing efforts that are, how do we say, spiritually well-intended and graphically pathetic. Sorry.
Yeah.
So when I got this package from Men's Alliance Tribe, I thought, okay, these guys have their branding act together. This is really slick stuff. In fact, I have two challenge coins on my desk, and they're the only two that I've kept. And I've gotten, 100 pieces of marketing material over the last year. One of them is from Men's Alliance. And if you're watching on YouTube, here's my Men's Alliance coin that I keep, it's about the light good, all the time on my desk. So I think about you guys often and pray for you. And perhaps my favorite part is what's on the back is the isolation is terminal bit on the back with the skull. Wow. David,
yeah.
Who comes up with all your marketing, man?
Oh man, it's just it's all a collection of a handful of us guys that are just kind of, stewarding this ministry. And we got a lot of great men with great ideas. And, we get together and the ideas start flowing and we come up with that. And, it's cool hearing from your perspective, all the stuff you get and what you keep and what sticks and what's still on your desk. And, starting off this brand new little ministry of Men's Alliance and trying to get guys' attention, and being like, man, what can we mail these guys that won't get immediately thrown in the trash? Right. And yeah, I remember boxing up that package to send you, I think we got a big box and we filled it full of like wood chips.
Don't lie to me. Well, what's interesting is I kept the coin, I kept the box, and threw your book away. But don't worry about it; it's fine. I'm just kidding.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. It got me here.
It's a joke.
It's funny.
It's a joke. I'm actually using it to level my table. It's fantastic.
But hey,
David,
yeah, I wanted to tell you this real quick. One of the things that we have sent to people before to try to get their attention is we've mailed a big box. And then you open it, and because it's got dry ice in it, and then it's got the smaller box, and it's a coffee cake.
What?
And when you open it, the box, it says, "Men don't bond over coffee cake. You need Men's Alliance." And
okay, now you've introduced a problem. Where in the world is my coffee cake?
I know. So that's why I asked. I was like, "Which
coin? I can't eat this.
Which box did you get?" Yeah.
Oh goodness. That's a brilliant
I don't know
idea.
if we're even still doing that, but that was a fun thing we tried for a while. It's like, hey, What can we send? I think we need to start. Actually, I got this idea this week from somebody. We need to start mailing steak.
Ooh, yeah.
We need to start sending steak to Lawson. But
Yeah,
Lawson,
you know,
that.
we feel like we're doing something so important. We just want to tell men about it.
Yeah,
Whatever it
yeah.
takes to get that message out. You know, that's what's key.
Yeah, the world's such a noisy place nowadays.
Yeah,
you gotta do something different. And I heard you on an episode talking about coffee cake, and you said specifically, you know, like guys that go through the Men's Alliance tribe indoctrination, they are truly bonded, and you don't bond over coffee cake.
Yeah,
is typically sometimes things that are associated with like a men's group kind of get together.
That's right.
Talk about the alliance.
Yeah, somewhere along the line, somebody said that, and maybe me, I don't know, and it stuck, right?
Yeah.
Was just this concept of, you know, men need some difficult challenge in their life. That's how we bond. That's how we create a band of brothers. You know, like every Christian men's conference, everybody says men need a band of brothers. You guys need a band of brothers. Don't try to do this. Don't be isolated. Everybody agrees. Everybody's saying the same thing. But you walk away from that like, okay, Roger that. How do I do it? Right. And so that's what Men's Alliance is doing is we're here's how you do that. Right. So we are tribes of men all around the country that meet weekly for an outdoor workout, followed by a devotion around a fire. And so it's that simple formula. Right now we're a little over 300 tribes and in like 40 states, and we're launching about 20 new ones per month. So that shows this is just what men need. It's just what guys need. We all know it. And the thing that got me thinking about this was the fact that most men, the best friend we've ever had in our life, like the closest brother we've ever had, we made that friend either playing a sport together, like they were on our high school football team with us, or we were in the military with them. And it's like we bond so quickly when we spend time doing hill sprints or burpees or running with a telephone pole with a guy. We bond instantly. But you can be in a Bible study in the church basement with a guy for 15 years and never be bonded to him and never really feel like a band of brotherhood there. And why is that? Well, it's the physical struggle is what's missing, and men bond over that physical struggle. And that's why we do the physical struggle at the beginning, right? Like I tell people, Men's Alliance, we're not a workout group. We're a band of brothers, and that's how you create it is with the workout. So that's a little bit about us.
Yeah, I want to hear about that, and I want to talk later on too about getting one going where I live.
Sweet.
Yeah. So back up just a sec, Goose, and talk about who you are, how it began, how your family has been a part of the journey of getting Men's Alliance off the ground, and who you are as a dad.
Yeah, thanks. So this whole thing started with fathers. This is all about fathers. So the very first Men's Alliance ever, I started it with a buddy, and it was me and him and our 13-year-old sons. So it was me and my 13-year-old son, him, his 13-year-old son, and then there was one other man. And it was the five of us around a fire. It was January of 2017, and we did a 30-minute workout together, and then we did a 30-minute devotion together. And I had invited a couple people, but I didn't know if anybody was going to show up because it was cold that day. There was a couple inches of snow on the ground, and I got there with my son, and we're in the property behind the church building, and we built a big fire. And I mean, we built a big fire. I think we had, I think we threw pallets on there. And, and so me and him are sitting there. We're about 10, 15 minutes early. And we got this blazing fire going, and we sat down on a bench, and he looks at me and he goes, Dad, he goes, what if nobody comes to this? And in my mind, I'm thinking that's a very real possibility. And I said, well, if nobody comes to this, son, then me and you are going to do an awesome workout and have a devotion together. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're going to do this together no matter what. And, you know, that was like almost 9 years ago. That son is now 22, grown, gone. And I had the privilege of bringing two of my sons. I have a younger son as well who followed him 4 years behind him. And I've done Men's Alliance with both of my sons from 13 until they left the house at 18. And so it's been such a huge part of my experience with them. And part of that is we try to do so many things with our sons, right? We're always looking for some activity we can do together. And this activity, the weekly Men's Alliance Tribe, it was like the one constant in my relationship with my sons. It was every week. And it was something that they actually liked and I liked. And so it wasn't like him doing my activity or me doing his activity. It was like legit. We both went and it was so good for him to see other Christian men and hear them leading devos and hear them saying the same things that he heard me say, right? So it was just a great experience that I got with both my sons. Now I'm going to it, solo. Sons are gone, but I'm still going and being that other voice now for other men who are bringing their sons.
Right. Yeah. And it's different than when you're doing it together like that. It's different than you going to watch them do their activity, watch them play baseball.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it, but the bonding is deeper when you're doing something together. And I think, and I think you're right. I think you guys are on to doing something physically challenging also brings you together. And I want to talk about that down the road.
Yeah.
So you and I have a few things in common. Your birthday is my wife's birthday, the day after Valentine's.
That's some random and excellent research, Lawson. Congratulations.
I'm not done. You met your wife in high school.
Yep.
Married my high school girlfriend. You had knee surgery either before or after PLC, Marine Corps, OCS, basically.
All right. Now, when you say PLC, there's a guy who knows
Look,
what
I
we're
used to work
talking
in
about.
the electrical business, and a PLC is a programmable logic controller that ships boxes the right way. Can you help educate our audience?
You just stay out of this, nerd.
You are dismissed.
Yeah. And you've done some triathlons. So I just find you and I
triathlon. Does that count?
I would love some hanging out time. And I am serious, man. I live down in Walton County, which is the panhandle of Florida, below Alabama and Georgia. Can't find a tribe anywhere down here, and I do want to get tied in and think about how to do that.
Yeah, man.
But here's my I'm teeing all this up. Here's a question for you. The biblical part of the getting together, it's 50-50, physical, spiritual, although they do kind of blend. But there is, I was thinking about this. So like, if I want to get one going, like, how do I come up with the workouts? How do I come up with the devotional or whatever? You've got this prescribed. You've got it kind of figured out to a degree. There's a formula that works. The 50-50 formula works. But how do you choose that latter half, that devotional piece? Because just working out, great, you can make some good bodies.
Yeah.
But without that second piece, it's very different. And I would advocate that without the first piece, so the two really do, in my opinion, go together.
Yeah. Yeah, man, you're absolutely right. The 50-50 piece, the 30-minute workout, and the workout is hard, right? I I tell everybody when they lead one, make it a little harder than you can personally do, right? We set the bar really high, and then we give ourselves and everyone else grace to fall short. The same way we would do in the devotion, right? We wouldn't lower the standard in the devotion, but we're going to keep the standard high, and we're going to fall short. And if you could crush the workout that you planned for the night, then you didn't push yourself hard enough. And the same thing is true spiritually, right? If the devotion doesn't challenge you and push you a little beyond your personal comfort zone, then it really didn't sharpen you, right? Every men's ministry in the country loves Proverbs 27:17, right? Everybody's Proverbs 27:17 is iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. But really that process, what does that look like? Well, there's a lot of friction, there's a lot of sparks flying, and so both parts of that are necessary, the physical and the spiritual, both of those. And I think the key word is challenge, right? Challenging men is encouraging them to do more than they think they can do. It's challenge gets you out of your comfort zone. So you think about, like, we'll go back to picking on coffee cake here, right? If I get out of my car and I walk in, I pick up my book, my Bible, and I walk into the church, and I go into a classroom, and I get a cup of coffee and a piece of cake or donut, and we talk about the book. Like, there's just not a big challenge there. And I've stayed comfortable behind my facade the whole time, and I haven't had to be real with anybody. But what we see happen is when you get out of your car and you walk up to a fire and you struggle and sweat. And man, last night, I'll just share this with you. Last night at my tribe, we had the workout was all these different stations, and you paired up with a guy and you spent 3 minutes at each station. Well, one of the stations was crawling, pushing 100-pound sandbag together. And I mean, I couldn't crawl and push that by myself. And so I'm pushing my half and he's pushing his half, and we're crawling way too long of a distance doing this. And there's no real explanation for this. It's just not like something to articulate, but there's something about it. When we finished that workout and we grabbed our waters and we went and sat by the fire, I felt a little bit closer. I felt like something had happened. Like we were buddies, right? Yeah. Like we just went through this thing together, and we were also doing a bunch of tire flipping and kettlebell stuff and all this stuff together. I felt a better bond with that guy than I did when he came walking up from his car to the fire 30 minutes before. That's kind of, to me, some secret sauce to how men work and what we need, that challenge, how we bond, all that stuff is what sets up the devotion to now. Man, you're going to be more likely to be real, to drop the facade, to actually share and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of workout groups in this country that meet and do great workouts together, and then they get in a circle and they say a prayer to a higher power or something. But you know, that the ratio of 99% to 1% doesn't cut it. It's got to be 50-50. We'll never get rid of the workout. We'll never get rid of the devotion, and we'll never go indoors either. Right. You got to be outside. Something just dies. Something just dies when you go inside and you sit down under a fluorescent light.
Hey,
your question that I never even got to, your question was like, how do you decide the devotion?
Right.
You're like, what's the topic? And, you know, we describe it as a real world devotion. We say we do a rugged outdoor workout and a real world devotion. And a lot of times people are like, what does that mean? What's a real world devotion? And we want men to lead the devotion about whatever is relevant in their life that week. So sometimes if you go through a book together, you might be talking about a topic that's really not pressing on your heart that week, but you're going to talk about it just because it's the chapter for the week. But you don't ever have to, we don't ever do that. That's never going to happen at Men's Alliance because the topic is not being prescribed to you. We tell guys, hey, we want you to talk about what's going on in your life this week and apply it biblically, right? Bring scripture into it for sure. And then put it out there for conversation. So it's not going to be one guy talking for 30 straight minutes. It's going to be, hey, here's what I'm going through. Here's a struggle I've got. Here's some scripture, and see what the Bible says about it. What are you guys going through about this? Has anybody gone through something similar? And, you know, and so many times we'll see a guy throw something out there and somebody else is like, man, I've been there. And the conversation is incredible around the fire where we feel truly sharpened like iron and iron.
Yeah. I want to shift a little bit, David, to not just exactly like how does a Men's Alliance group work and what happens in the mechanics of the Men's Alliance group. I want to encourage guys, go to men'salliancetribe.com. Make sure you get those resources. I want to pivot to the thing because we can learn a lot of that online. I want to make sure we make good use of your time and your story on today's show. The question I'm about to ask you, I'll give you a few seconds to prep mentally for it, and I'll tee it up and then come back to you. Tell us what you would say to dads. Like, not go to join your local Men's Alliance tribe. That's great. Yes, go ahead. However, you've got thousands of dads sitting in an auditorium, right? Digital auditorium. What are the things that you're finding as a guy who has a wide angle lens on dads across the country? Part one. Part two, you're a dad yourself. Talk about your kids if you like, insofar as you are comfortable. What have you learned about being a godly father? And what are the things that you see dads wrestling with and struggling with? Maybe it is because of your work in Men's Alliance Tribe. Maybe it's before the work you did in the military. Maybe it's before even that. But talk to some dads about what do they need to know about walking with Christ in their families. I listened to your show a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, on spiritual leadership in the home. Guys should go listen to that. We'll put it in the show notes. You don't got to recap the whole thing, but like we'll make sure everybody has access to all that content. But tell us from your perspective, man, what do dads need to know about being godly fathers, godly husbands that you've learned in your journey?
Yeah, brother, man, that's so important. Like three big things are jumping out to me. And I'll say this, I think that there is a lie that I'm convinced every man has this lie whispered into his ear. And that is the lie that says you are not qualified to lead your family. I think Satan whispers that into the ear of every man. He whispers it in my ear just about daily. And I've never talked to a man who didn't feel inadequate to lead spiritually, disqualified, maybe because of his past failures. And, you know, there's nobody in the world harder to lead spiritually than our wife, right? Like I feel comfortable leading 5,000 men. That's easy. Leading my wife in a devotion, that is hard. And the reason why that one's hard is because she knows all my past failures, right? Like you imagine, like if you had to speak to a room full of people on financial stewardship and everyone in the room knew you were bankrupt.
Right.
What it's like
said we weren't going to mention that.
For dads.
Why you got to bring that
trying
up?
to lead their family spiritually.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
so true.
Our kids know they know, they just saw us lose our temper yesterday and yell and scream. And then we're going to lead them in a devotion. So I think there's the first thing I would say is we have to reject the lie that says we're not qualified. And we have to insist on leading anyway, but with humility, right? So you gotta go to your wife, you gotta go to your kids, you gotta say, hey, listen, I'm anything but perfect. You know that. Um, but here's something I want to share with you. Here's something I want to read to you. I still want to pray with you, right? Just constantly overcoming our own imperfections and not buying into the lie that your failures are so unique and they've disqualified you. We got to realize, hey, this is an everyman struggle, right? So to dads, I would say the first thing is reject the lie that your past failures have disqualified you. You gotta push through that, reject that, and humbly lead anyway. Second thing is you can't lead your kids to a place you've never been yourself. So we've got to be striving to become the man that we want our sons to become and become the man that we want our daughters to marry, right? And so we can't just sit back and tell them what to do. We got to be doing it. And I saw this play out in a silly, fun way as I was raising my boys when they were young, and we'd be sitting in the living room watching a movie or something, and one of my boys, it would always start like this. My oldest son would just start doing push-ups, right? Like during the middle of a movie, he just gets off the couch and he does a set of push-ups.
Yeah.
And then the younger son is going to copy him, and he gets down and starts doing push-ups with him. And then you know what you have to do if you're the dad? You got to get down there and do some push-ups, right?
Right.
It's like,
I do.
It's funny because like, I don't think men without sons do push-ups in their living room. I think that's a unique thing to, you have kids, you're going to be doing them in the living room. But it was like, hey, if you want your kids to do this, if you want to encourage this behavior, you have to do it. And nowhere is that more important than in reading scripture, right? So I want my kids every day to see me reading the Bible. When they come down the stairs, I want them to see their dad reading the Bible. And, just a little practical tip here. If you want your kids to see you reading the Bible, you have to be reading a paper copy, because if you're looking at your phone, they don't know what you're doing, right? You might be reading the Bible, but if you're staring at your phone every time they look at you, it doesn't quite do the same thing. So I think the second thing is be the man you want them to be. And that's hard, but that's iron sharpening iron. And you think about this, your son that's 9 years old, 10 years old, he's iron and he's sharpening you. I experienced that, right? I had two boys, 4 years apart. They're sharpening me even as very young pieces of iron, right? It sharpens us a lot to be raising a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old. It's like, man, I was getting in the garage and lifting and I was running just because that's what my sons are doing. So that's the second thing. The third thing I got for dads listening to this is really powerful. And it's this: at age appropriate levels, right? As your kids, sons and daughters, as they get older, and at age appropriate levels, share with them your past failures. And you think about this, a shipwreck and a lighthouse both have something in common. The shipwreck and the lighthouse, they both know where the rocks are. They know where the rocks are. The difference is one of them is sunk and stays down, and the other one turns around and shines a bright light on their rocks so that others don't hit it. As dads, we've all failed, right? None of us are perfect. We all have past failures. But as dads, we have the choice. Do you want to be a shipwreck or do you want to be the lighthouse? So I think being the real, authentic dad who doesn't pretend that he's perfect, but can share with his sons and daughters at the right times throughout their growth, hey, listen, I've made this mistake before. Here's what I did. Here's how it hurt me. Here's what I learned from it. And I don't want you to make the same mistake. Right.
That's great.
And being able to be that authentic leader who doesn't act like they have all the answers, but is humble enough to shine a light on the rocks that they've hit themselves. I think those three things, are big foundational blocks of fatherhood.
Love it.
That's a cool practical example. You talked about having a paper Bible out. I'm right there with you, man. And because not only would they see you perhaps reading it versus looking at your phone, when you're not there and that Bible's still sitting out.
Oh,
they go, that's my dad. That's my dad's Bible. I got involved with Manhood Journey long time ago. And in the early days, it was dads with sons was kind of the key target audience at first. And I didn't have sons. I've got 2 grown daughters now, but I got involved because of something that you said, David, which was for some man out there one day that my daughter is going to become interested in. I was investing in Manhood Journey and Kent because I love Kent and believed in him for the one day down the road. And sure enough, having been involved for 10 more years or more, I think I'm a better girl dad for having been a part of these conversations about how to be a godly father.
Yeah.
There are some dudes out there that I want you to keep in mind who are like, I'm intimidated by all this talk. I have sons or daughters that ain't no way they're going to come do a workout with me. And I don't even know, like if I'm equipped to go and find a tribe and show up. It sounds scary and hard and challenging and suffering and all that. What do you say to the guy that is there, and forget about Men's Alliance necessarily, but just about being a leader and stepping into the role that God has called him to, even though it is intimidating and challenging and there will be suffering and you won't have all the answers. Talk to the dad that's like, I hear you, but like, how do I'm not sure. I've been listening to this whisper in my ear saying, you're not equipped. You're not qualified. Talk to that guy that is hearing this and going, I got to do something, but I'm afraid.
Yeah, man. I think there's this thing going on. And by the way, I've got 2 daughters as well. I haven't really brought them into the conversation yet, but I've got 2 boys, 2 girls. I know the girl dad thing, and it's a totally different ballgame. But there's this kind of hang up. And I think as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, man, this applies to everything. This is with sons. This is with daughters. This is with our own physical fitness. I think about it. It affects us spiritually as well. And it's this, we have an all or nothing mentality. I think so many men don't want to play a game that they can't win. Right. It's like, if we're going to do something, we want to do it all out, all the way, 1,000% and crush it. And if we can't do that, we don't even want to play. And I think that that's a huge mistake. I think that's a huge flaw in thinking. And I think it can be illustrated like this, right? You would never go with that advice when it comes to investing your money, right? If you would say, well, I don't want to invest just $50 a month, that's nothing. I want to be able to invest millions, right? I want to say, right? It's like, oh, that's great.
That's a great analogy.
But you know what? It's the compound interest. It's the small deposits on a regular basis.
Yeah.
That's what changes lives. So your daughters, your sons, they don't need you to take them on a epic trip across the world annually, right? What they need is you talking with them daily. They need you asking them, what they're interested in, how things are going with their best friends, what pressures are they feeling, what challenges are they facing. All these little conversations that we cultivate weekly. I know that I'll give guys grace. It ain't going to happen daily. Right. But if you look at weekly, if you take a 1 week snapshot of your life, that's a much better picture than a 1-day snapshot, right? Look at what are you doing in a week? How many times are you exercising in a week? How many times are you reading your Bible in a week? How many family dinners are you at in a week? How many conversations are you having with a son or daughter in a week? And a week gives us enough time to have a bad day here and there.
Yeah.
That's life, right? So to this all or nothing mentality, let's apply that. Let's see what that looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. You're a busy guy. You don't have time for a workout group. You don't have time for a church small group. You've got life happening. I get that. Think about just make the small deposit. Just make the small deposit. You know, there's 168 hours in a week. And I tell guys, listen, you got to take one of those hours out of the 168 and you have to use it selfishly to sharpen your own axe, right? I think that we got a lot of men, especially in America right now, who are swinging a dull axe and they're just trying to swing it harder and faster. Their solution. And it's like, stop trying to do more. And just take a break, take an hour a week and go sharpen your own axe, because, you know, I've seen this happen with my boys, right? I talk about my boys, by the way. I'll just explain this in case you're thinking this guy never talks about his daughters. I just had my boys longer. I've had my boys longer. Right? We adopted our daughters when they were older. So I didn't have all the baby and the toddler experiences with them.
Yeah.
But when I think about raising my kids, you know, it was all the little moments of those deposits, but it was this too. It was, I've got to go to my men's group. I've got to go work out. Dad's going to go work out. You mentioned triathlons, right? That was a season in my life when I was in my 30s where I was doing Ironman triathlons and I would go work out. But here's what that does, right? I hear dads say, I can't come to a 1 hour a week men's group because that is my kid's bedtime. That's when I read a Bible story or something to my kids. And that sounds noble. That's, boy, they're playing their trump card, aren't they? They're playing their best card. It's hard to say, don't do that. But here's the honest truth. Over an 18-year period of raising your kids actually need to see you modeling taking care of yourself too. And they don't need you to read that story 7 nights a week to them, right? They need that you doing that in their life 4 or 5 times a week. And then they need a couple nights a week where they see you go to your men's group. And then they need one night per week where they see you take your wife on a date, right? So we've got to set the example, and the example ain't always being there. I think as your kids get old enough to look at you as another human, once they are older than 13 and they're looking at you, they're actually kind of thinking, my dad needs more friends. My dad needs a life.
Yeah.
Dad never out of the house. He's here 24/7 trying to invest in me. He needs buddies.
Yeah.
He needs friends. Dad, you should go work out. They kind of see it. So I tell guys, listen, be a little selfish. Now don't be in a men's group 4 nights a week. That would be crazy. But 1 night a week, be in a men's group, sharpening your axe. 1 night a week, be taking your wife out on a date, investing there. And the kids see that, and you're just modeling this to them. You don't have to teach them. You just do it.
Yeah. Well, that's the tough thing, David, is like, I have grown up with various different, I say grown up, meaning just in my adult life, I've had various different inputs, right? I like books. I like people. I like mentors. And sometimes even the schemes, right? Well, is it date night once a week? Is it date night once a month? Is it date night 5 times a year? Is it annual? Okay, look, bro, what you need is wisdom. What you need is wisdom. And at seasons of life, you're going to find that your time needs to be a little different. And just love the way that you handled that. Let me ask you for one last comment on your book. I want to make sure we don't forget to mention your book. It's called Answer with Truth, the Ambassador's Field Manual for Leading Your Family Spiritually. And one of the things I was initially really attracted to Men's Alliance and you for was this focus on God's Word and apologetics. Because for me, I really believe that what men need, what dads need most desperately in their fathering are two things. One is wisdom. We talked about it before. The second is favor, right? So there are some dads who they believe fathering is like a vending machine. And if I just do all the things right, I get 18-year-olds who love Jesus. No, man. No, that is not how it works.
Nope. I'll help dispel that myth with you.
And so with the few minutes we have left, make sure you tell guys about your book, because I think part of what's in your book is this pursuit of wisdom in God's Word that frankly, they're going to really need. Because even if they have like you, well, I've got 5 kids, Lawson has 2, you have 4. They're not all the same. And one thing that one parenting approach with one may work very differently, may even backfire with another. So talk a little bit about your book and the pursuit of wisdom that you found in your search with apologetics.
Yeah, I think culturally, we need to bring back apologetics to mainstream Christian men in this country. Vodi Balcom just passed away this past week. And one of my favorite quotes from him was, he said, apologetics is not something that's just set apart for some special forces elite group of Christians.
Right.
He said, apologetics is for all Christians. If you're a Christian, you better be an apologist. And, I think right now we're seeing this revival in our country after Charlie Kirk's assassination. Charlie was famous for always being ready to give an answer for the reason, for the hope, for, the faith that he has.
For the hope that he has.
1 Peter 3:15. We need to be men who have gone through similar training so that we can always be ready to give an answer in our homes, right? So this book, Answer with Truth, this is really designed to create kitchen table apologists, right? Men who can answer the tough questions that their kids are going to ask them at home. And so that's where my passion lies. And we do this training in Men's Alliance called Carry the Fire. And that book is our curriculum for that. That book started off as a PDF document that I just gave to everybody that did Carry the Fire.
Great.
And then men were just like printing the entire thing out, stapling it together, and it was a mess. And they were like, can you just get this thing bound together and polished? So we're training men how to answer questions that their high school age kids and their college age kids come back home from school and their faith has been rocked because they don't think there's an answer to this question. Stuff like Christianity might be true for you, but it's not true for me. And there is a God. All religions might be multiple paths to him. Yeah. Right. They're all equally valid, and only science yields truth, and religion is like an opinion, and just all these things that we hear all the time. None of them are new. None of them are, difficult. But if you don't know the answers as the dad, here's the kicker. If you as the dad don't know these answers, you won't be able to lead your family because you're going to be on the sideline with your mouth shut when these topics and questions come up. And this is just something that I saw happening personally around me with a lot of my friends and their kids. And I realized these men are just caught flat-footed, and they don't know what to say when their kid comes home from college after one semester and says they're an atheist now. And so my idea with this book and with our Carry the Fire is, let's train the men, let's train the dads to instill all these answers in their kids before they go off to college, right? If you don't want your kid coming home as a freshman saying they're an atheist, give your kids the answers to this while they're in middle school, right? So what I started doing with our kids around the dinner table is trying to draw these hard questions out of them, right? Like we're sitting there eating and I'd be like, hey, have you guys ever wondered, how do we know that they didn't just make up the entire Bible? And like you say that as a dad, you put the voice to the questions you think they have.
Mm-hmm.
You will see your kids go, yes,
exactly.
I have wondered that, right? But they're too afraid to ask it, right?
That's right.
And so if we kind of draw those questions out of them and then give them the answers, be like, well, here's the evidence that we have in our New Testament manuscripts, and start teaching them this academic rigor to, we're not Christians because it makes our life better. We're not Christians because it gives us warm, fuzzy feelings. We're Christians because it's true.
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
evidence for a resurrection. And if you can equip kids who know how to give the evidence for the resurrection, in my opinion, that's a win as a dad, right? Like that's what we're called to do, is send kids off who are themselves ambassadors for Christ. And in the book, I use the example of, sending your sheep out among the wolves.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of wolves out there, and a lot of good meaning Christian families and homes and churches are unwittingly sending their sheep off to these wolves. But we as the dads, we should be the sheepdogs, right? We should be the ones who are protecting our flock and preparing them. So that's what the book does. I think it's got about 20 or so real common questions or statements that are culturally popular right now that you hear people say, like the God of the Old Testament sounds like a monster. I wouldn't want to worship him even if he was real. Boom. We give you, here's how to respond to that. So it's really and it's super short, right? Because I wrote it. So you could put this book in your shirt pocket. It'll fit in your back pocket of your jeans, right? So none of us are, have a lot of time to read these big academic pieces on this. So this just breaks it down and distills it for busy dads to have the answers so they can get off the sideline and speak up.
Yeah, right on. Dude, thank you for joining us today, David. It's really cool to see you. Yeah, so the book is on the way. I want to follow up with you about getting a tribe going. I am bought in. And listen, I think dads need to hear from you and from to dispel what we're being whispered to.
Yeah.
All of us every day are being told you're not enough, you're not right, you're not equipped, you're not going to be able to do this. But together in our tribes, doing things that bond us, and then like you said, be real with your kids, and then be with your kids, making those regular deposits, not an annual donation. I love that analogy.
Regular deposit. Is that where I insert the manhood journey pitch? Lost?
Yeah, right. That's right. But dude, talking about being a father on purpose, this is enlightening and inspiring, and our dads out there are right here with us.
Tremendous.
We're not a father on accident, so we're going to be a father on purpose.
Guys, you've been hearing a conversation today. You've been hearing a conversation on the Father on Purpose podcast with David Goose Mills from Men's Alliance Tribe. Go to men'salliancetribe.com and learn more about what David and his team are up to. David, again, from Lawson, me, and producer Alex, thanks a ton for coming on the show today.